Good evening, Facebook, and welcome to Deep Conversations and Transformations. My name is Lynette, and my intention behind these interviews is that everyone involved positively transforms. And tonight I have an incredible man coming on, and his name is Matt Brown. Matt is a transformational coach, mentor, and trainer. I'm laughing because I tried to come on before and I'd forgot to put my earphones in my ear, so I was talking away. Yes, it worked. How are you doing, Matt?
Yes, I'm doing really well. Thanks, Lynette. How are you?
This is hilarious. I'm good, apart from I basically forgot to put the earphones into the ears and I was chatting away and I don't think anyone could hear me, but we're on. Welcome.
All right. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be
No
here.
worries. So, the intention tonight is that everyone positively transforms through our conversation. Would you like to share your intention? What would you like to happen on this call?
Yeah, absolutely, Lynette. As far as I'm concerned, it's the same thing. Uh, as a coach, I'm always looking for opportunities to help other people with some of the information that I've discovered, I've applied to my own life, and I've had results from. So this is just another way, another channel to get that information out there, as far as I'm concerned. So if I can help just one person from this, then job done.
Amazing. You know what? You're very wise. We've spent quite a lot of time together recently through different things, and there's some wisdom that comes through you that's just incredible. I love to hear you speak. So that's why I was really keen to get you on here.
Oh, thank you so much, Lynette. That's very kind of you to say. I don't know where it comes from, but yeah, if it helps other people, then it's a good thing.
Yeah, I feel like you're channeling something.
Yeah, and at times it certainly feels like that way too, because there's times when I'm in a deep coaching conversation with somebody, with one of my clients, for example, and I'm thinking to myself, gosh, that was really good. I should write that should write that down. And it's amazing when you're in that space with somebody, as you know, as a fellow coach, magic can simply just start to unfold.
Yeah.
And whether that's us tapping into a genius that exists within us, or if it's something that's flowing through us, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. But either way, it doesn't matter as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you're using it and you're helping people with that. Whatever it is that you're doing is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I get so much pleasure out of it. And, I feel very much in alignment with what I'm doing now as a profession.
So how did your personal development journey start, like for yourself?
Yeah, so really it started when I was about 14 or 15 years old.
Wow, that's young.
Yeah, I am.
I was late to the party. I was like in my 30s.
Yeah, so for me, I've always been fascinated by human behavior and why people do what they do. And so I was just a very conscious observer of other people and from a young age.
Yeah.
And I became interested in how you could apply different strategies to your life and get different results. And so I just started to get into personal development books when I was at boarding school, actually. And
Yeah.
I started to become obsessed as well with inspirational quotes.
Yeah.
So in
Well,
my
I love an inspirational quote.
yeah, absolutely. I don't think you're allowed to be a coach if you don't.
Yeah.
And so in my dorm room at school, I had all these inspirational quotes plastered all over my wall. And whenever I read it just kind of did something for me. It
Yeah.
inspired me to make the most of the situation which I had, which was an incredible opportunity, really. Um, some people think, oh, you were sent to boarding school, and it was like absolutely not. I made the decision to go there because, as far as I was concerned, it was like a summer camp all year round.
Yep. With your friends.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was really what started it for me, was that I had all these opportunities available. There was 27 co-curricular activities that we could
Hmm.
take part in at school. And I used the 5 years that I was there to sample at least as many of them as I possibly could.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so I dropped the ones that didn't work for me. I continued with the ones that did, and I started to develop these talents and abilities in areas that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to have the opportunity to develop. And that for me was the start of it all, really, because that's what made me realize that there's so much potential within each and every one of us. And yes, your environment makes a difference, and the people around you makes a big difference. But ultimately, it's your choice if you want to go and explore that and discover that. And that's what I did. And yeah, it really laid the foundations for me moving forward in life to realize there was so much more that I could do and could achieve.
What an awareness at that young age, like 14 to me, I was kicking about the streets drinking 2020. I had not discovered reading or even personal development at all. So that's amazing. Did you have like any sort of people in your life that sort of you looked up to that were into the personal development, or was it just something that came to you through a book or?
Yeah, I think the biggest person that I looked up to at that time was my dad.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah, and he's got such an amazing mindset, and he probably hasn't read a personal development book in his life, but I also feel like he's very connected, and he's got strong principles and he sticks by them, and he was such an inspiration for me growing up, and it was partly that energy that I was bringing into the school environment. And so yeah, my dad was probably the biggest inspiration. But then you've got people like Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn and some of these classic thought leaders within the personal development space as well, who of course served their part.
Yeah, amazing. So how did you go from doing your own personal development to then coming into coaching? What brought you to the coaching practice?
Yeah, so it was really a fairly natural progression in some senses, but I I kind of went full circle a couple of times because I went to I went and worked on the oil rigs in my
Oh, did
20s.
you?
Yeah, so I worked on the oil rigs as a drilling fluids engineer for 5 years after graduating from university with a communications and an advertising degree, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, which was quite an interesting leap. But I knew that that wasn't what my passion and my purpose was,
Yeah.
to work on the rigs. And so it was kind of a decision that was made because I was sort of treading water at the time, waiting to discover what it was that really set my soul on fire. And I had some limiting beliefs around becoming a coach,
Yeah.
ironically, and some limiting assumptions that I was making about the profession and about what other people would think, particularly my parents and
Yeah.
people closest to me. But aside from that, I decided I would go and do a foundation course. It was like a 2-day course that CTI, the Coactive Training Institute,
Yeah.
hosted in Manchester, and I was, I think, 22 or 23 at the time. So had I followed my heart then, I would have been a
Yeah.
coach back then. But that's not actually what happened, and I ended up staying on the rigs for a few more years. I had my own coach who was, he was helping me in many ways to work through some limitations that I had for myself. And he also acted as a huge inspiration for me as well, because, I could see that he had gone from a previous career, he'd gone into coaching, and he'd taken that leap of faith as well. And so it started to get really sort of closer to me,
Yeah.
and the belief was started to be built within me that I could do it, but I still held off. And it took me 2 or 3 years after working on the rigs until I finally plucked up the courage to just admit to myself, really, that this is what I needed to do, and that I couldn't hold it off any longer. And it was because I was working with business owners, independent business owners, and I was consulting them on their marketing at the time. And what I was finding was that I was giving them the information that they needed to apply in order to improve their marketing for their business.
Yeah.
But I was ending up coaching them a lot of the time on the limitations that they had about what was possible for themselves and their business. And that was when it got so close to me that I thought, right,
You're like, you're doing it.
yeah, I'm pretty much doing it
Yeah,
now,
pretty
right?
much doing it.
I'm
Do you
just
want to
not
get trained for this?
exactly. I'm just not calling myself a coach. And so
Yeah.
I made the announcement to my parents that that's what I was going to decide to do, and they supported me completely. And I did my training and everything else, and that was maybe about 2.5 years ago now.
Yeah. Because we
Yeah,
trained together with Mindful Talent.
yeah.
Was it 2 years ago?
Well, I had trained previous to that with another company in
Ah,
Edinburgh, and I had done some coaching prior to to even receiving formal training.
right.
So I'd been coaching a little bit before that, before we worked together. Yeah.
Amazing. It's so powerful. And I'm glad that you took the step because I've experienced a coaching session with you and it's very powerful. You're an amazing coach.
Thank you, Lynette. Thank you.
You
And
can, yeah, you can tell you're definitely on the right path and that's your passion.
that's it. And that's why it's so important, I think, for people to find that, because I searched all the way through my 20s, certainly like with conviction, trying to find something. And I questioned myself. I thought, well, maybe it doesn't exist. Maybe this is just some pipe dream that I've conjured up, and that so living your purpose and your passion isn't actually something that people do. It just looks like they do that, and
Yeah,
and so yeah, it now that I've found it, I have to say I'm so aligned with it. And I feel like this is what I'm here to do.
amazing.
Yeah,
So we had a lot of questions coming through for you and I'd love to fire away with them if you're up for it.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I was asking my audience all week just if there was anything they'd like to ask. And I love this first question that came through. It was from a lady and she says she wants to make a change in career and she's got a couple of ideas, but she's scared to make the leap in case the safety net doesn't appear. Any advice? Now, I love that question because that's
Mm,
kind of, that's where I was at for many years. I had a few ideas, but there was so much fear there. So, any advice for anyone that really wants to take that leap
mm.
without knowing that the net's going to be there?
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned the word fear, Lynette,
Yeah,
and yeah, I mean, we live with it naturally as human beings. And if there's not a fear in our immediate environment, like a threat in our immediate environment, then it's something that we're perceiving to be a threat in our mind. And so what I would say is that if it's something that you're perceiving to be a threat in your mind, then try to remember that that's your imagination and it's doing its job.
yeah,
It is there to protect us, it's there to serve us. So naturally, that's what it's going to do. It's going to come up with the worst case scenario, and all these other weird and wonderful situations that may arise, which might not have very good consequences. So what I would say is that it's totally natural to experience fear, of course. Even knowing that, it can still be really difficult to take that leap of faith, right?
yeah,
Especially when you have things on the line, like you've got to support a family, or you don't have a backup plan, or whatever else. What I would say is fundamental here is that that person looks within to really discover it and understand if it's a lack of trust within themselves.
mm,
Because if we're able to grow wings, then we don't need a safety net. And that's how I committed to the coaching journey for myself, and making that decision. I just made a decision that it was going to work one way or another. And although I had considered other possibilities if it didn't work, I really had no attachment to those. And I was mainly just focusing on making it work. And I think that if it's the right thing and you can feel that within yourself, you're only you are going to know that is the right thing for you.
yeah,
Then that's when you have to just decide, I'm going to take that leap of faith. And it's not easy, right?
No, it's not easy. But I think once you get committed to something, the net does appear, and it's taken, the small steps towards that. Say it's a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think action is one of the best things that we can do when we're in that situation where we don't know what's going to happen. Then if we act, at least something will happen and we can respond to
Yeah,
that.
do something, even if you're like, oh, I'm not sure. Like and I think also, Matt, it's not about like you don't have to give everything up right away, do you? Like I remember I was working at Lululemon, and then I started the coaching course. I didn't know how things would happen. And to begin with, I wasn't even sure I wanted to be a coach. I just knew I wanted to experience that training. So it was like small steps.
Mm,
And then
absolutely.
eventually, when I decided and I got committed, then, the net did appear. Things did happen. Synchronicities happened. People
Mm,
showed up. People started to support me and encourage me.
100% Lynette. And it's like there's so many things that happen in my life that there's no way I could have engineered them. There's
Yeah,
no way I could have pre-orchestrated them. They're just things that happened, and they were there to support my journey of expansion and keeping me going in that direction. So, the mind is going to do everything it possibly can to plan ahead and plan for the inevitable, but there's limitations to that. And I think
yeah,
the best thing that we can do is really take action in some respect. And it could be something as simple as, for example, if you're considering to train as a coach, go to one of these open days, like
yeah.
the ones that we do with Mindful Talent, for example. Go to one of these and check it out. Connect with these people. Don't make the decision straight away. Do some research first and really feel into it. Feel into if
Yeah,
this
you've
is,
got to feel it.
mm,
It's got to
absolutely.
feel right. And that's the same, when you're finding a coach, it's got to feel right. Or anything that you do, it's got to, the feeling.
Yeah, definitely. Our body is so intelligent, and it's so much more capable at making decisions than the mind is sometimes.
Yeah, more in tune.
Mm.
And we talk about support there, like I shared, like I couldn't be on this journey without the support and the encouragement that I've got. Do you find that? Like, what kind of support network do you have yourself?
Yeah. Well, even before I was a coach, I had a support network there. I had my own coach and and spiritual mentors as well,
Amazing.
official ones and unofficial ones.
Yeah,
And yeah, what I would say is that I don't have the support there because I feel like I need it. I have the support there because I love to grow with other people,
mm.
and I love to learn from other people and understand, what they've been through and what's worked for them, and see if I can then apply some of that to my own life. So for me, it's not feeling like I need to have that there. It's more like I'm having it because I want it, and why not?
Yeah, it
You
makes
know?
the journey a whole lot more fun. And when you understand that actually everyone is scared sometimes, but when you share it with people that are really wanting to see you do well, and for them, maybe they're growing as well, it helps you to understand that everyone goes through the same stuff, but just at different times.
Oh, absolutely, Lynette. And having somebody who's independent as well from your family,
Yeah,
from your romantic relationship or your friendship group is so important too, because sometimes these relationships can be blurred,
yeah.
and if they're not a trained coach or a trained mentor or one of these things, then they're not going to necessarily know the best way to encourage and support you.
Yeah, because I suppose sometimes family members or people that are really close to you, their fear might come in and they might just stop your growth. Not that they're intentionally meaning to, but just because maybe they're doubting the thing that you're sharing.
Mm,
Whereas,
absolutely.
yeah, when you get a coach and you maybe come out with a crazy idea, they'll be like, yes, come on, let's try it. And then you feel like, yes, I'm going to try it and see what happens. Like, because what's the worst that can happen?
Well, that's right. And as you know, as a coach, we're trained not to project our limiting beliefs onto our clients,
Yeah,
whereas that's just something that people will naturally do. They'll project their model of the world onto other people. And so of course we can sidestep that, and we can think bigger.
Amazing. Well, the next question that came in is, what do you believe to be the key factor that holds people back from achieving their goals?
Okay, yeah. So the key factor, I think, is a lot of the time people set goals, but there's maybe not a clear intention behind it. Like there's maybe not like the goal has been set because they feel like they should do it, or they need to do
Yeah,
it, or they're supposed to do it, rather than actually it's something that really, really inspires them. And I'm a big fan of vision boards,
yeah,
right? And I sometimes host these workshops for vision boards. And what I always say is that find things that really get you excited when you look at them. Don't put something in your vision board that you think, okay, yeah, that would be good. You know,
yeah,
I could maybe achieve that, and whatever else, and like it doesn't really do anything for you. Find something that really excites you and inspires you, because then you're going to want to move towards that. And sometimes the amazing thing is that people don't set goals which are actually big enough or
yeah.
exciting enough. They set goals which they believe that they can achieve, rather than setting goals that they really, really, truly want in their heart.
Yeah.
So what I would say is that, set goals from your heart, set inspirational, big, meaty, juicy goals, and then start to see what happens.
Yeah, when I was at Lululemon, it's where I was introduced to goals. And they called them BHAGs, so big, hairy, audacious goals. And it
Yeah,
was the BHAGs that allowed us to really push out our comfort zone and like realize how powerful we truly are. And when you smashed a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal, you were flying. It was so exciting.
absolutely. And what it does is it stretches the belief of what we're capable of as
Yeah,
well.
life gets bigger when you smash a massive goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, and I loved what you said there about, maybe putting up goals there that other people might do or that you expect to do. And it was like, I went in and I remember the first goal I wrote was, I'll run a marathon. And they were laughing because they said, most people that come in here and do goals for the first time, that's their goal. I'll run a marathon, just because everyone does it. And they were like, do you actually like running? I was like, no. Do you actually run? No. Actually, I don't want to do that. Why did I even write it? But it's
Yeah.
just because I'd seen other people. I didn't really know much about goals, so I thought, right, I'll just run a marathon. But it wasn't in alignment with me.
Mm, absolutely. And that is the biggest thing, is finding that alignment and doing things that you truly want to do, not because you feel like you should do them because your friend was doing it, or
Yeah,
your parents would be proud of you, or one of these things.
yeah, it's so good. So the other one was, right, this is from a female, and she says, how to structure your work-life balance when you have your own business. When do you know it's time to shut off, as I just keep going, which can feel very overwhelming? So someone that's got their own business and they're maybe just on it all the time.
Mm.
How do you structure the work-life balance? Any
Yeah,
advice?
yeah. So I would be asking that person, what is their intention behind their business? Like, why are they doing it? What's
Mm,
it all for? Um, because it's a very, very common thing to get into that place where you prioritize the business over other things, like your family, relationships, even time for yourself. So it's an easy trap to fall into, and I've been there also. I think a lot of us are guilty of that. But what I would say is that work doesn't have to be taxing, and there's a belief within our society that you have to be working hard, you have to be working long hours, you have to be constantly at your desk. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the wrong way to look at it,
mm.
because it shouldn't be an assessment of activity. It should be an assessment of results and,
Yeah,
and productivity. So I could make one phone call, and that could create me the same result as somebody else potentially working at their desk for 10 hours.
Yeah.
Now, we both achieved the same result. So, I just get to have more time for myself now. Or I can now focus on something else that I want to do within my business that's going to move the needle forward the most, rather than just feel like I'm shackled to my desk and that almost like pretending, right? Like, oh, I'm working over here. Yeah,
Checking
cool.
Facebook.
Yeah, right. And it's crazy, but we fall into the trap sometimes. And what I would say is that the best thing to do to avoid overwhelm is simplify things. So my recommendation would be to have 3 things a day that you want to focus on, and just focus on those 3 things that day or for that week or a couple of weeks, and see how, when you're able to focus your energy onto something, you're able to create far greater results. Because what can often happen is we spread ourselves thin, doing lots of
Yeah.
little things and never achieving anything. But it's like the analogy of the magnifying glass with the sun.
Yep.
If we direct the sun's energy into one spot, then we can create fire. And that's really what we're looking to achieve within business. Is we want to get results. So what I would say is get results any way you possibly can, and don't fall into the paradigm of the traditional working model that has been sold to us through social conditioning.
Yeah. And we don't believe it's working anymore.
Well, that's right. I would also say as well, if you're enjoying what you're doing, you're going to be far more able and capable of creating results. If you're miserable and your energy is low and everything else, you get onto a phone call with a client, or your level of impact is going to be much lesser. So what I would always say is, like, focus on yourself first, focus on maintaining your energy levels and doing the things that inspire you and that you enjoy doing, and keep it simple. Focus on just a few things rather than lots and lots of things. And then I'm sure she'll be able to avoid the overwhelm that way.
Amazing. I think, you touched on something there. You do have to believe in, if it's your business, you really have to believe in it, to sell it, to share it. Because if you're selling something or you're sharing something that is not in alignment with you, people can feel that, right?
Mm.
Talk about making a phone call about a product you're selling, and you're like inside thinking, I hate this product, I hate this job. Like, you're definitely not going to make an impact with that. Well, you might make a negative impact. But when you start to really get into alignment with what you're meant to be doing, and you're sharing from your heart, people can feel it. It feels like magic. It feels like freedom. People want to buy your product or the thing that you're sharing. They want to be involved.
Yeah, 100%, Lynette. And as you say, people can pick up on that energy. So the only person you're fooling is yourself.
Yeah. Amazing answer. So to get really focused every day in your business, and also I think giving yourself space, maybe even scheduling in space. Do you yourself meditate? I'm sure that you do.
Yeah, I meditate sometimes, but what I've come to more of, actually, Lynette, is just treat every opportunity as a meditation. So
Amazing.
I'm bringing meditation more and more into every moment that I possibly can by bringing presence to it and bringing my awareness to it. So I meditate less, like, formally now,
Yep.
because if I'm being honest with you, it's never been something that I've really resonated with. It's always been a bit of a chore. And I find that if it's a chore for me and I don't look forward to doing it, then it's not something I'm going to enjoy, and it's not something I'm going to want to continue. So I just look for the easiest ways to do things, and things that are going to be as light of energy as possible, so that I can enjoy them and get the most out of them. And I actually had a coaching session with your brother. We were working together for 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
And he's an amazing coach, by the way, as you know.
He's been
And
coaching me all my life. Well, mentoring me, telling me what to do.
well, you're a lucky person, because he certainly knows what he's talking about. And we spoke about snowboarding being a
Yeah.
form of meditation.
Yes.
And I absolutely love snowboarding, and I totally related to that. And I find that when I am on the slopes and I'm carving up some freshly laid powder and I'm making my way down that mountain, I'm in my absolute element and I'm very much in that flow state.
Yes.
And that's what I would say is important, is seeking to access that flow state wherever possible, whether you're working or you're on a mountain somewhere or whatever you're doing, seek to access that. This
I'm
is
glad
very,
you shared that,
mm,
because it's so true. Like, meditation doesn't have to be sort of cross-legged, sat down. It is getting in that flow state like you're talking about. And maybe that is walking in nature or, skiing. I don't know if you've seen the video of a guy called Slow Mo.
no.
Try and find it. I'll try, and if I can find it, I'll share it with with the comments. And it's this guy, I think he's in California somewhere, and he's found that if he goes on his rollerblades and lifts his leg up and puts his arms out and sort of his head forward, he gets into the theta brainwave and he goes into this flow state. And that's his meditation. And he used to be in the corporate world, and now he basically just is downsized, and every day he goes out on his skates and everyone sees him and they're like, slow mo, and he goes along and he just gets into this meditative state every single day on his skates.
That's amazing. So
Amazing,
he's
eh?
obviously, yeah, he's obviously doing something that he enjoys doing. And
Enjoys it. It makes people happy when they walk past them, they're like, slow mo.
yeah,
And he's
yeah.
going quite slow on the skates, by the way, that's why he's slow mo.
All right, well, he sounds like a legend. So yeah, I look forward to seeing the video.
I'll try and find it. And it was just, he was talking about how he's just simplified his life. He's let go of the corporate, and he's just downsized and he's just living in the present moment every single day.
Mm, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's it's something that I've discovered more and more recently. Um, Being able to access that presence in the moment without being in my head thinking about the future or
Mm.
considering something from the past. And it's become a bit of a drug for me now to do
Well, I've
it.
noticed since I think we met about 2 years ago, and I've noticed that your energy has shifted. It's very, very grounded now.
Mm,
You can
yeah,
tell like that you're very present. So it's working, whatever you're doing.
yeah, and gosh, I don't even know what I'm doing, Lynette. I'm just doing a whole load of stuff, so I couldn't even
Just
tell you.
you're present, And
Yeah.
I think so. We talk about that, we are human beings, but a lot of
Mm,
the time we've been human doings, and we
yeah.
always thought we had to do, be, and then have, or
Mm,
do, have, and be. So you do the things, then you have the stuff, then you become the person. But actually, if you switch that around and you be however you want to be, say it's grounded, say it's peaceful and present, then you
mm,
have the things, and then you do the stuff you want to do in that energy.
mm. Absolutely. I I couldn't agree more. I think that the more that we're in the being state, the better for everybody. Too often we can get caught up in believing that we should be doing lots and lots of things and that we should constantly be busy and that somehow um, allows us this merit or this badge of honor that we get to wear, that we're some kind of super mom or super employee or whatever else. And I think that the less that I do, the better my life gets. And the amazing thing is that the more results I'm able to create as well. It's like this
Yes.
crazy counterintuitive thing that doesn't make any sense, but
You're
it
like, oh,
somehow
it's
works.
actually really simple. And I suppose that brings us back to that question that was shared, by just being more and not doing, because it's the doing that overwhelms us. When we do, and we've got hundreds of things to do on our list, we're overwhelmed, we're in panic. Ah.
Mm.
But when we be like more present, more opportunities do happen.
Yeah, and we get to tap into that source of inspiration that's available to us then. You know,
Yeah.
that deeper level of genius that then becomes accessible. And because we're in a higher energy state, we're in a higher vibration. So
Yes. We can actually
like,
hear it. We can feel it, the creativity coming through.
exactly. And I've done away with to-do lists, for example, because
Amazing.
I realized that all I was doing was just writing stuff down on a piece of paper, and it wouldn't really get any smaller.
Just kept writing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, the same sort of stuff. And it wouldn't get much smaller. There was always something to be added to the to-do list. And now what I've done is I've just decided that I'm going to focus on a few things, and if they get done, great. If they don't, I'm not going to beat myself up, because I think compassion is so important. This is something that I've discovered for myself running my own business, and being a coach, is compassion for ourselves is the most important thing we can have, because otherwise it's very easy to judge ourselves. It's very easy to compare ourselves with other people, especially, let's say as a professional coach, there's always somebody else who's doing more or achieving more, or, they've got more experience or better clients or whatever else. And so it's easy for us to fall into that trap, I think, of looking at them and making that comparison. But the antidote I've discovered is compassion, and just accepting where we are right now, accepting that our life doesn't have to look the same as theirs. And
Yeah.
who knows what is going to happen in 5 minutes time, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 years, who knows?
That's amazing. And it's exciting.
It's really exciting. I'm really buzzing on life just now, Lynette. I'm so excited about the possibilities that exist for me, and I'm just marveling really in the magic of life, watching it gradually unfold and surrendering to that unfolding as well, surrendering to the flow and the magic just to come in and present itself. And as long as I'm maintaining that level of presence and awareness, then I'll be able to see it and I'll be able to be
You
guided.
see it when it comes in, yeah.
Yeah.
You won't be busy with your to-do list. You'll actually be open to it. Hiya, oh, there you are.
Exactly.
Somebody asked actually, what does true happiness mean to you?
True happiness for me, when I think about that, I think about freedom.
Freedom.
And by freedom, where I seem to be going with it is freedom to be myself, freedom to be
Yes.
my authentic self without imposing any limitations on myself, without feeling like I need to be different, or I need to be doing more, or
Yes.
something needs to change in my life, just a complete acceptance of self and my current reality.
Amazing. I've got
It's happiness.
freedom tattooed on my wrist. It was something that I found a few years ago after attending a personal development course. And somebody's actually wrote, finding true happiness, be it work, money, life balance, is incredibly difficult. Live in the now and try to stop. Can't read. Appreciate where you're at and who you're with. Plus, looking good, Matt. Not as good as me, but good, whoever that's from. So somebody was sharing there about finding happiness can be difficult. What do
Well,
you believe stops us from feeling that really inner happiness?
I think it's the illusion that happiness is outside of us, and that there's something outside of us that's going to make us happy,
Yeah.
rather than just seeking to discover that happiness within.
Yes.
And happiness, what I've come to understand is accessible through two main things. So one is a pleasure, and the other is satisfaction. And an example I like to use is the pleasure can be accessed through eating the chocolate cake, but
Yep.
the satisfaction comes from baking the chocolate cake and actually doing something which is a bit of a challenge, but you feel satisfied at the end of it that you've achieved something. And so for me, the happiness comes from a healthy balance of both of those things. Having things that bring me that pleasure in the moment, and that could be having a party with friends, or it could be something simple as watching a movie that you love, or whatever. It could be eating chocolate. It could be anything,
Yeah.
right? And then the satisfaction is finding things that you enjoy doing, which also challenges you and stretches you in a healthy way.
Mm.
And if you have a nice balance of both of those, I've found that my happiness levels are pretty high.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a deep question.
Really, and I think there's so many answers to it, so it's a tough one.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your answer. I also love how, when you practice gratitude, well, I'm sure that you do because you're on this
Mm,
journey. And it was something that I didn't even know the word gratitude in my 20s. I didn't know what that meant. And when I started to meditate, gratitude came into my life and I started to become really grateful, like really feeling deep gratitude. So I feel like when I started to practice and feel into gratitude, like really feel it, I got happier, I became happier. And it really allowed me to see and be more present. Like, obviously, everything is connected, right? And when you go on this journey of personal development, it all becomes clear. And then I was like, these two ingredients for me was finding space, meditation, and then finding gratitude in everything, even stuff that was not quite right or what I labeled as wrong. Like finding gratitude in those things was a real turning point for my happiness.
yeah, that makes absolute sense, Lynette, and I couldn't agree with you more. And for me, gratitude has been a huge part of
Mm.
me finding that inner peace and happiness within myself. And really all it is a matter of perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you could have the same situation and two people will look at it completely differently, and they'll then experience different emotions as a result of what their perspective is. But if we can become appreciative of everything that we have, then yeah, I think that happiness is there for us.
Yeah, I think, if I look back as well, I used to say thank you for things, or if somebody done something like held the door, I'd say, oh, thank you. And I thought that was gratitude. Like, I thought that was thankfulness. That was really being polite.
Mm,
I think I was really, I don't know, I was just living in my own little bubble. But once I started to be like looking at things like even my hands and think, wow, like all I get to create, touch, feel, experience with these hands, how
mm.
grateful I am. Like really focusing on all the different parts of my body, my life, the people in my life, and finding the gratitude in those things and then just expanding them and just, it's powerful.
It's so powerful, Lynette, really. And I'm sure, like me, you probably recommend this as a tool for your coaching clients to
Definitely.
to have a gratitude journal where they have 3 or 5 things in the morning that they're really grateful for, and in the evening as well. And it really it changed so much for me, gratitude. And I'm actually writing an autobiography at the moment of,
Oh,
yeah,
amazing.
my life so far, and it's just for myself. It's not for anybody else, but it's been
Oh,
such a
damn, we want to read it.
well, maybe I'll
You
send it to
say
you.
that, you say that now, you never know, you've committed to a goal, that sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Maybe it will come out into the world.
Yeah, well, you never know. And I'm sort of halfway through it at the moment. And what I
Wow.
found is that it is such a healing and cathartic process. And it's allowed me to access such a deep level of gratitude for my life now, but
Yeah,
also for my life growing up that I had.
amazing.
That, and those memories can be so easy to forget. And
So
it's
easy.
it's not until we really reflect on them and give ourselves time and space to go there that we actually start to remember things that were
Yes.
completely out of our um, immediate consciousness, and it's been a really beautiful process, and I'm already just so much more grateful for my parents. I mean, I'm already grateful for them and my brother and where I live now and everything else, but um, I just feel so extremely blessed to have been given the experiences that I had at such a young age, and seeing now how that has laid the foundations for my life moving forward as well, just gives me even more gratitude.
That's incredible. I feel like when you write with your hand, if that's how you're writing, it comes from your heart and it takes you into that place that has, you know, deep remembrance of things that have happened. And I like what you said there. It's like when you start like tuning into old memories and you bring them up, like I do that in my classes, we go back and we start to see the synchronicity of life and how, oh God, remember when that happened? And then I met that person. And you understand that it's like this big jigsaw puzzle of life, and everything's so connected.
Yes.
And it's so exciting.
It's amazing, isn't it? And Steve Jobs, he had a quote, which was, you know, I never knew where my life was going, but looking back, I could see how all the dots connected, or something like that. I'm
Yes.
paraphrasing, but you know, when we do look back on our life, it's amazing to see how the dots do connect.
Yes. So I think writing your book is what a gift. I hope you share it with the world.
Yeah, well, you know, we never know. I'm sure I will if I believe it will serve a purpose.
So that's one of your goals, I take it. Would you like to share any other goals that you have? Have you got any BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals that you would like to share with everyone out there and keep
Yeah,
you
well,
accountable?
yeah. So Lynette, the amazing thing is that although I'm a coach and I've had a lot of experience with goals, it's been
Yeah.
something. I'm going through a process right now where I have removed all of my goals,
Wow.
and it's part of the process of just completely surrendering to life, and
Yeah.
it's really come from Michael Singer's book, The Surrender Experiment, which I know
I knew
you've
you
heard
were
of.
going to say that. I love
Yeah, and
him.
yeah, he's amazing, and to hear some of the things that he's accomplished in his life
Mm.
by tuning in is incredible. So rather than having goals, I'm setting more intentions, which, as you know,
Yep.
is like a sort of general goal rather than
Yeah.
something specific. I'm going against all the rules, right? Uh, and
You're a rebel.
yeah, and and so what I'm finding is that I'm taking the pressure off myself as a result of that, and I'm making sure that it's only things that inspire me, and I'm keeping it general because I want it to naturally unfold as it's meant to, rather than feel like I need to force it into construction. So one of those intentions that I've set is to start hosting retreats here in Spain.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because you live out in Spain. Which part of Spain are you in?
So I live in Marbella on the south
Lovely.
coast. Yeah.
Nice. So the intention is for this year or for next year to start those retreats?
It'll be when the timing feels right, but
Okay.
you know,
You're
as I
like, I'm
say,
not giving you a
I,
date. I'm not.
yeah, no, and it's not so much the reason for that is because I think the opportunity will present itself, and I'm just very much allowing it to come into fruition when the time is right. You know,
Yeah.
when the universe and says, okay, Matt, you're ready now, let's go for it.
Is that why you like vision boards better? Just rather than putting sort of specific goals up and sort of time up with your vision boards, it's, it's obviously just visually and it sort of can come whenever
Yeah,
it decides.
yeah, I'm a very visual person, so that really works well for me, and it's a tool that um, I've used for years with great
Yeah.
success. So I do really enjoy them. And although I don't have a vision board right now, so I've got one in my bedroom, but it needs to be updated. So
Yeah.
maybe that's something that I'll be getting onto pretty soon.
Amazing. So, what would you like your legacy to be? Now, your legacy is already started, right? Because you're positively impacting everyone that you meet, I believe. What would you like people to remember you by? Not in a morbid way, but when you
Yeah,
leave and exit this planet, how would you like people to speak about you, or like what would the legacy be?
it it's less about what I want people to think about me, and more about the impact that I've created in their lives. So whether they know that that was because of me or not
Yeah.
doesn't matter for me. It's more knowing that I've had a positive impact and that there's been a ripple effect created in the lives of many, many people. So for me, a legacy isn't something that I'm terribly fussed about, to be honest with you.
Well, you've already started it, so you can't get out of that.
Yeah,
You want.
but the sole intention is just to have a positive impact in as many people's lives as possible. And if I can achieve that, then yeah, I'd be a happy man.
Yeah, we're always causing a ripple effect, and it's
Mm.
either, positive or negative, and I definitely feel like you're causing a positive ripple effect.
Oh, thank you, Lynette. And I know that you are as well.
Well, just, we've all got this intention. I know that yourself and I, and a lot of the people that we surround ourselves by, we just really, the intention is to make this world a better place, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And your brother, I watched a video of his just today, and
Oh,
he's an
yes.
absolutely incredible human being, and he's taking that to the next level with the Mindful Talent Training Academy, and all
Yeah,
the
it's
work that he
exciting.
does as a coach, and working with the mentor team as well and inspiring them, um, and yeah, he's a really, really inspiring guy. So yeah,
Mm.
it's good to have him in the circle with us.
Yes, exactly. So, for anyone out there that's maybe just getting started on their journey, or maybe that hasn't explored personal development yet, what would you say would be a book to start with, or a tip, or a tool?
Mm.
What would you start with on the journey?
Yeah, so going in line with the simplicity model that I was talking about before,
Yep.
one of the best books that I ever read, because it was so simple and it was just a very short book, was The Four Agreements.
Oh, Ali goes on about this all the time, and for some reason I still haven't read it. So, The Four Agreements, what did you love about that book?
Well, I think what I loved about it was that there's four agreements and they're very easy to follow. And when you apply them to your life, you can start to see significant differences. And
Amazing.
and so if you want results quickly and you don't want to commit too much time to something and you don't want to be reading through lots of jargon and complicated um, words and things like that, then I would say read that book because it's a beautiful book and it had a big impact in my life. And it's a book that I refer back to regularly and I give to clients and things.
Amazing. So, The Four Agreements.
Yeah. But I would also say find somebody who inspires you, right?
Mm,
There's so many people now on YouTube with their videos, and there's so much free content available at our fingertips. So
yeah.
find a modality that works for you, a learning medium that works. Now, I love videos, but some people prefer audiobooks, and other
Yeah.
people prefer reading books. So what I would say is that make it as easy as possible for yourself and find somebody who inspires you, who you connect with, who you respect, admire, and can start to love. And then yeah, just follow their work and start to apply whatever it is that you learn and treat it almost like a self-experiment.
Yep.
That's what I did from a very young age. With the books that I was reading back in boarding school at 14 years old. That that's what it was for me. It was a self-experiment. And I loved it because
That's amazing.
there was no consequences to getting it wrong.
Oh, that's my brother saying you guys are making me blush. Thank you for the kind words, Matt Brown.
Oh, good stuff.
And I think that's it. Once you get into this growth mindset and you're growing, then everything is an experiment because we don't really know what we're doing anyway, do we? We're just
That's
sort of
right.
going along. But I'd rather be growing than decaying. That one of my
Mm,
mentors says to me, you're either in growth state or decay state, Lynette. And I'm like, oh, decay state. I was definitely in decay state for a long time. And she said, that's fine if you're on holiday, go and like be in decay state, but otherwise start growing. And I started to think about that in nature, when I look at my garden and it grows every single day and it doesn't care if it takes up too much space. It knows that it belongs. It's wild. Well, my garden's wild. It's wild and uncontrollable, right? It doesn't care what anyone thinks. And it grows constantly. And us as human beings, we're designed to grow, right? And when we don't grow, when we're in decay state, I believe that's when we're struggling.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And just like flowers need sunshine and they need air,
Yes.
they need water, they need the right conditions. Human beings need the right conditions too, in order
Yeah,
to
we need
really
light.
flourish and grow. Yeah,
We definitely need light people around us to help us shine and get out our light.
yeah, absolutely. And I think the environment is so important, isn't it, Lynette? I know that
Definitely.
I've been in many different kinds of environments throughout my life. And one of the toughest environments that I was in was working on the oil rigs. And I was actually doing night shifts as well for 2 or 3
Oh
weeks at a
God.
time. Yeah, so long working hours, no sunlight.
In the
Uh,
dark.
yeah, in the dark, dangerous job, very stressful. Not very happy people that I was
Yeah.
surrounded with either in a very complicated, dangerous environment. And yeah, I have to say that despite all that, I still found a way to grow by having that determination and that keen interest in personal development. It was the only thing that really saved me or kept me going through that tough
Yeah.
time in my life. So yeah, what I would say is that even if the current environment that you're in isn't ideal, it's not the ideal conditions, then find your refuge in material. Find somebody who inspires you, or a YouTube video or a book or something like that.
Amazing. It's been incredible having you on, Matt. Is there
Thank you.
anything you want to share before we round this up?
Yeah, no, Lynette, I mean, I just want to thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you and to have this kind of conversation with other people watching. This
Yeah.
is my first Facebook Live, so
Is it?
it's a brand new
Stepping out of your
experience
comfort zone. You've been
for me.
growing on this call, eh?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've been really enjoying it, and I'm very much appreciate people commenting and asking questions beforehand. So, thank you all for watching, guys, and thank you, Lynette. This is amazing what you're doing, bringing people on who, are making a difference in the world. So keep up the good work. It's so beautiful to see you doing this.
Thank you so much. And I'd love for you to share how we can get in touch with you. So if anyone wants to ask you questions or even book in a discovery call for a wee bit coaching, I'd love if afterwards you just put in the comments like your email or your website or your Instagram, whatever you've got, so that
Yeah.
anyone can find you easily.
Yeah, that's great, Lynette. I'd be happy to do that. So thank you.
Perfect. Oh, well, thank you to everyone for joining us. Thank you, Matt. And have a great evening. See you
All
soon.
right. Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.